Well, this is will be my second video for my new channel, and what I'm going to discuss, in fact, something I never really got into in my other channel, is my earliest part of my childhood, and in those first early years, how I knew something was really off. Right? I saw a comment today. I have a video out on my other channel called Trans Conspiracy, and I talk about how they say that the whole trans thing was basically created by chemicals, right? And for many of them, they believe that we were saturated by chemicals for many years, and then that's why people transition in their later life. But the one thing I had to point out to a person that that made that comment under my video is that since as far back as I can remember, I was really felt cheated that I wasn't born a girl. The very first time I went out in public dressed as a girl was when I was 9 years old. And so to say that this was, this new thing that's happening to people because these chemicals that have came out in the last 30, 40 years, no. I mean, that actually goes, I'm old. I know I don't look my age, but I'm in my mid-50s. So this goes all the way back, into the 60s. And so yeah, and could the birth defect that causes being trans, could that have been triggered by a chemical that my mom was dealing with when she was pregnant? Possibly, but who knows? Is this just a natural thing, like being born gay, right? That some people are born trans, possibly. Well, I know it can be quite difficult, but in my childhood, I couldn't tell anybody. If I would have told anybody, if anybody had found out about me, I would have got beaten up so thoroughly. It was, I wouldn't have had support from my family at home, and I definitely wouldn't have had support outside the home. So yeah, so I definitely had to keep it on the down low, and for the most part, we just didn't have anything for me to wear at home. So, and that one time when I was 9, when I went out dressed, I was on Halloween, of course. Many trans people's very first time out is on Halloween, and the next time I went out dressed was when I was 12 on Halloween, and I remember that one very clearly because I kept going looking for candy, and I was absolutely passable as a 12-year-old little girl. And so I would show up, and I'd come up, and I was like a rotten little kid. I'd come up all looking sweet, and the big blue eyes, and I'd be like, trick or treat. And they'd be like, "Oh, what a pretty little girl. Why didn't you dress up?" And I'd be like, "Bitch, put the candy in there." I was a rotten little kid. I sucked at being young. I was a very angry little kid. And so, but yeah, so it started all the way back at the very beginning. I mean, as far back as I can remember. And by the time I was 20 years old, I was being completely overwhelmed by seeing, like, women that I really admired and wondering, well, why didn't I get to be her? It's like, I don't like being anything me, right? People found me attractive. I had a really nice body. I was in great shape, I was well spoken. I could carry my own, and was pretty good at a lot of different things, and still was just, I looked in the mirror and I was just miserable. It was just so sad. It was such a, my childhood was really wasted on me. So yeah, there's so many people that have that same beginning. A dear friend of mine had just explained to their family, that got this message that they're transitioning way in left field. To them, it was left field. They never saw it coming. They looked back and said there were no signs, this and that, and everything, even though there was clearly signs everywhere. They just didn't recognize them. But when she gave the letter explaining it to her, she goes all the way back to when she was 4 years old, to her earliest memories, and about dealing with, being transgender. And so yeah, that's my start. That's my beginning. And I remember I took a Barbie from one of my mom's best friend's daughter. They called her my cousin, but she wasn't really my cousin. But that's what we were so close. They called us cousins. And I took her Barbie, and my brother caught me playing with the Barbie and the G.I. Joe together, right? And so I just similarly like they were going at it. I mean, I'm like really young on the stairs, and I got busted. I'm like, oh crap! And I just instantly just threw on the top of her. G.I. Joe's going to town. And my brother's like, "You're a weird little kid." But if you'd have caught me just playing with the Barbie for the sake of Barbie, I'd have never heard the end of it. That would have been dangerous. It'd have been a catastrophe. And but I desperately wanted to play with the girl toys. I desperately wanted to dress like the girls, you know. And so this is, you know, just because we transition later in life doesn't mean that we didn't start all the way back at the beginning. You know, that we didn't, you know, have these feelings from literally the day we were born. You know, you're sitting there as just a little kid, and people are explaining to you that you're a boy, and you're like going, "Are you sure?" It's like I'm not sure about that. And they're like, "Yeah, look down." And you're like, "Oh," it's like that's not cool. Something's really wrong here. And then of course you got the child's mind that doesn't understand any of it, and so you're like, "I don't understand. I don't get it." It's a very sad way to start your life. And especially if you don't have support, especially if, you know, even, you know, if you come out, you'll have violence, you know, actual violence against you. And so, and that's so many people's stories, you know, they were just terrified. You know, they just kept it hid away. And people who don't understand trans people will literally make it sound like just one day you woke up and decided to be a girl, you know. You know, if you had kids and a wife, you just didn't want to be married anymore. You decided to destroy your family. You decided to do this and do that. You know, you decided to burn it all down just because, you know, you liked wearing dresses. And they don't realize that all along you were just like, you know, all through high school, I wore pantyhose and I wore bras. And so in the summer I couldn't do it. In the summer all I could wear was the pantyhose. But if it was winter, I'd make sure I wore a nice thick shirt, or I wore a jacket over it and wore my bra under there. And so yeah, so it was, you know, it was always there. From 11 years old, I think, is when I first became kind of obsessed. And but at that point, I wasn't really wearing anything. I was just thinking about it all the time. It was, you know, really on my mind. And like I said, by 20, it was just destroying me. So, and then I dealt with that my whole adult life. So again, it wasn't just something that just popped up, or something that long-term exposure to all these things that lower testosterone that made me one day wake up and be trans. This is the nonsense that they're trying to, you know, tell the non-trans world, trying to explain us. And but it's wildly inaccurate. So yep, that's the beginning. That's where I started. It was, you know, it's been a long journey. I'm in my mid-50s, so I've been at this for a very long time. Been went full-time all the way back in 2003, so yeah. So and then was dressing almost full-time, pretty much full-time, for like 2 years leading up to that. And so a lot of experience, and, you know, and I understand a lot of things about this, but I know that it was always there, that I was born with it. And no matter what anybody tells you or anybody says, you know, if you're born with it, you can't miss it. You can't miss it. Alright, well, thank you, my friends, and be sure to like the video, and be sure to subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Thanks.